Rags to riches stories don't always go in a straight line. Sometimes there are a few financial bumps in the road. Gertrude Lawrence is a great example. She came from nothing and became a star, but that's only part of her story. Keep watching to learn about the tragic story of Gertrude Lawrence. She blew all of her money. Growing up Gertrude. Gertrude Lawrence was born July 4, 1898. She grew up poor in a simple home in England. Her parents, Alice and Arthur, were not a happy couple. Her father spent most of his time drinking and ran out on the family when she was a baby. Life seemed better when Alice remarried. Gertrude's stepfather was a decent man who loved to take the family out to concerts and the theater. But the problem was they were the start of a devious plan. Alice was a stage mom who forced Gertrude to perform. She could sing and dance by age 6, and that's when the exploitation began. The family went to a concert, and Gertrude was having a wonderful time. That was until the performers asked someone from the audience to participate. Her mother volunteered her to sing on stage, and they got a gold sovereign for their efforts. It showed Alice how profitable her daughter's talents could be. Her first official gig was with a Christmas pantomime chorus. She was a prodigy, and that meant she needed the right teacher. Alice signed her daughter up with the famous Italia Conti. She noticed her talent and waived the fee for classes. Life and career. Despite her father's abandonment, she never forgot him. She chose her stage name in honor of him. When her career took off, she began looking for her father and was shocked where she found him. Arthur was living with a chorus girl. She came up with a plan to make the best of the situation. The three of them would act together in a revue. They did 2 back-to-back performances together, and it went well. Then it all came crashing down when he said he was leaving his mistress and daughter to do a new show in South Africa. The man abandoned Gertrude twice by the time she was 16. Gertrude had to find another job, but didn't want to go back to her controlling mother and teacher, so she went to the Theatrical Girls Club instead. Her first love. She found the first of her many romances by the time she was 18. She met dance director Francis Gordon Howley and fell for the mature, successful, ambitious man. The term mature certainly applied because he was 20 years older than her. They got married despite the age difference. She even became pregnant with his child soon after. She gave birth to a daughter, Pamela, in 1918. She unfortunately developed a severe case of lower back pain soon after. It was so excruciating, her manager, Andre Charlot, often had to give her 2 weeks off from performing. Reaching infamy. The injury didn't quell her desire to have fun. She was at a theater party for the opening night of a friend's show. Her boss was also at the party and wasn't pleased to see her since she was still supposed to be on medical leave. He fired her from her upcoming show. That event made her infamous. She became known as a lazy diva who would rather go to parties than commit to her work. Theaters wouldn't hire her, and she was out of work. Her career was falling apart, and then her marriage followed. Francis left her soon after her daughter was born. She couldn't even officially divorce him for 10 years. Gertrude had nowhere to go except back in with her mother and stepfather. Restoring her career. Luck seemed to be back on her side when she found another man. Captain Philip Astley was a high-ranking officer in the British Army. He was her lover and coach in high society behavior. She stayed with him for 2 years. A childhood friend helped her get her career back on track. Noel Coward, an unknown playwright at the time, wrote London Calling with her in mind. It was such a massive hit that it spawned spin-offs and international tours. She was the star of most of them. One of the songs, Parisian Pierrot, became her signature number. Gertrude was back. She even managed to make history in the Charlot's Revue of 1926 as the first British performer on an American Broadway stage. One major affair. Her love life took a wild turn after that. She was romantically involved with Captain Philip and technically not divorced yet from Francis, but found another lover. She began flirting with Wall Street banker Bert Taylor. The captain attempted to nip the affair in the bud by officially proposing to Gertrude. She turned him down because she knew he'd want her to settle down and drop her career at its peak. She got engaged to Bert as soon as her divorce was finalized. The difference was they lived relatively separate lives and had an open relationship. The next show Gertrude got cast in, Treasure Girl, seemed appropriate because it's about a woman who double-crosses her lover. She was positive it would be a hit and went to New York with her daughter and an entourage to see it. Unfortunately, it was a flop with audiences, particularly hating her character. A new love but fading career. Another man came in to help her get through the stain on her career that Treasure Girl had left. Her love for Bert had faded away, but attraction to producer Richard Aldrich came in hot and heavy. Their love was different, with a small engagement and a lifelong marriage. He had to leave to be a Navy lieutenant during World War II. She followed him along, performing for British troops. She returned to London after the war to star in September Tide, another play written for her, but it had a lukewarm reception. She was also changing as a person behind the scenes. Her behavior was erratic, and she started to forget her lines and the characters she was playing. How she blew all her money. Gertrude's fading fame left her struggling for money. She had no savings to fall back on, poor credit, and massive debt to pay. She refused to accept any of this. She spent like a star, including thousands of dollars on clothes alone. It all crashed down when she couldn't pay for a simple essential. She went to do her laundry, and the load cost 50 pounds. She didn't have enough, and the owners of the laundromat decided to sue. That unfortunately allowed the government to begin a full investigation into her finances. And let's just say they didn't like what they saw. Her accounts didn't accurately reflect her purchases. She had to declare bankruptcy, and the court seized her home, cars, jewelry, clothes, and other possessions. They also discovered she had never paid American taxes despite living there most of the time. She had to take cuts from her salary to pay down her tax debts. Gertrude gets her groove back again. A great idea got her back on top. She watched the film Anna and the King of Siam and decided it would work well as a Broadway musical. She bought the rights and signed the famous Rodgers and Hammerstein to write the music. She got the starring role when the show, titled The King and I, opened in March of 1951. The writing duo thought she sang flat, but the public seemed to disagree. It was one of her most famous performances and won her a Tony. There were also rumors she had an affair with co-star Yul Brynner. Her final days and death. Failing health ruined her seemingly perfect final days. She was a workaholic and did everything she could to keep up, but she often had to miss performances. Then came the day she fainted backstage during a performance of The King and I. Richard took her to the hospital, but the doctors couldn't figure out the cause of the problem. They scheduled an operation to perform tests, but it was never performed. She fell into a coma that day and had only a few moments of consciousness before passing away. She died September 6, 1952. An autopsy showed she had a severe case of liver and abdominal cancer, but they couldn't find the source of it. She had an elaborate funeral with thousands of mourners. Crowds of thousands lined the streets. She was buried in the gown she wore in The King and I. She was also the first person to ever have Broadway theaters across America dim their lights for her. Now it's time to hear from you. What was the most surprising part of this story? Let us know in the comments section below.